What's up guys, Eric here with TeamEccenTrick, bringing you guys my pure Thunder Dragon deck profile that actually went 3-1 at my locals most recently. I did really well. I'm very happy with the way this deck functioned. I'm also very happy with the fact that Danger, Crusadia, Thunder, that whole mishmash of monsters isn't really as relevant now that Nibiru and Dark Rule and Nomura are out. I've always really gravitated towards the pure Thunder deck. I just, in the most recent formats up until now, with Nibiru and Dark Ruler, the Crusadia Thunder Guard Dragon version was the most optimal version with the dangers and everything. It was also the most expensive version, but nonetheless, I figured I would bring you guys a deck profile. Also, I will be bringing you guys my side deck so you guys can see what I played in that respect. But we're going to get started. It's a pretty straightforward list. So, obviously, Triple OG. This card just allows you to gain advantage as well as convert a lot of your Thunder Dragon, or a lot of your Thunder effect monsters into colossuses. So 3 of that, and then for the rest of the Thunder Dragons, we're just maxing out Triple Roar, Triple Dark, Triple Hawk, Triple Matrix, and 1 Duo. The Duo is actually kind of a side-out target on occasion. Like, there are some instances where siding this out is more relevant, and it's just kind of like a card that allows you to facilitate the other Thunder Dragons in your graveyard, where you normally wouldn't be able to like get them off. Like, this just allows you to banish them to get them off again in the following turns. So it's also a 28 beater, and it does have kind of a relevant effect. But now we're moving on. Triple Batteryman Solar. Obviously, this is the best normal summon in the deck. This card, alongside Dimension Shifter, essentially turns the Dimension Shifter along with this essentially turns this into a walking Gold Sark, which is ridiculous. So that's something to keep in mind. I really think Dimension Shifter is amazing in this deck. So moving on, we play 1 BLS because BLS is obviously it's kind of like Thunder Dragon Duo in that it facilitates your Thunder Dragon effects in the graveyard when you banish them. So, and not only that, it just puts a 3k beater on your board and allows you to out opposing colossuses by banishing them or doing things like that. So that's definitely a thing. After that, for the hand traps, Triple Dimension Shifter. This card honestly is good whether you're going first or second, which is really nifty. If you're going first with this in conjunction with Batteryman Solar, just allows you to, like I said, turn Batteryman Solar into a walking Gold Sark. And also, this going second is just really good against orcust matchups and things like that. The only time this is really not relevant, or really kind of actually more so questionable, is when you're actually mirror matching Thunder, because then you're in effect giving them the same advantage that you're giving yourself, so that doesn't really help you there. But that's beside the point. You can always side that out. Next, for the last 2 hand traps, I played 2 Ash. Honestly, the Ash Blossoms were kind of lackluster. I'm considering honestly just throwing these straight to the side deck and possibly putting in Drag Down into the grave, just because it allows you to, if you have control of your hand and you just play like your most optimal cards first, you can use Drag Down to just kind of see if your opponent has the Nibiru, and if they do, you just discard it off of them. And again, if you're going first, the Drag Downs just allow you to kind of control your hand and your opponent's hand at the same time. So that's the thing. Next, I played Triple Thunder Dragon Fusion. This card is really, really good, honestly. Like, especially in conjunction with OG Thunder Dragon, because it allows you to just make Colossus. Not only that, you can activate both its banishing effect to search and its fusion, and its you can fusion summon with it. But the thing is you have to do it in a certain order, because you can't use the banishing to search effect in the same turn that you used that the card went to the graveyard, but you can, if you know how to work it, there's ways around it. So, but that's essentially that. Then we play Triple Instant Fusion because it's an amazing starter card. It just allows you to either put the Thousand Eyes Restrict on the board, or you can put Winda on the board. I do play Winda in the extra deck because of the fact that it stops Nibiru inherently, but also you can use whatever you summon as a tribute, so that you can tribute to summon one of your Thunder Dragons if you're ever in a scenario where you can't get any bodies on the board, because Thunder Dragons are all generally level 5 or higher unless you're playing Thunder Dragon Matrix, which I am, but you know, sometimes you just don't see a normal summon, and you need a way to tribute summon, which the Instant Fusion just facilitates. And then the last 3 have Spell, Triple Allure of Darkness, because it's effectively Pot of Greed in this deck. It's just really, really strong, so that's the thing. And then the last but not least for the spell cards, we played 2 Call By to out hand traps, because I figured that if my opponent's going to Lancia me, it's not really going to put me in a very optimal position, and Call Buying it is probably the best play you can make. And then 1 Gold Sark and 1 Monster Reborn, and that is it for the spell cards. And then the last 2 cards in the main deck are traps. 2 Paleozoic Dinomischus. Now this card, honestly, I was considering bumping it up to 3, and I tested it at 3, but then it kind of bricked me a little bit, like, because you'd see multiples of it, and that's not inherently bad, but if you see multiples of this and no way to actually get any Thunder Dragons onto the board, it does not help you. Yeah, you get to banish your opponent's stuff, but if they're playing Orcust or anything combo related that usually generally has follow-ups to any disruptions you may have, these are irrelevant. So not only that, sometimes you can even, if you make the wrong play and you don't, and you know, you obviously don't know the composition of your opponent's hand, this card can actually make your Orcust matchups even worse, because you're just facilitating Galatea's effect. So that's it for the main deck. Now we're going to get into the extra deck. The extra deck is fairly simple. Obviously, triple Colossus, big boy, just prevent your opponent from doing stuff. Double Titan. I know a lot of people, or some people play triple Titan. I don't like triple Titan. I think it's just clogging the extra deck way too much, especially when Titan, you know, you don't really go into Titan all that much. It's kind of more a card that you set up in your most optimal hands. And even in this scenario where you would go into Titan, you don't need 3, because you can just shuffle it back with the Thunder Dragon fusions, and it just makes more sense to me to do that. So then we have our Super Poly target, which was Starving Venom Dragon. This card, honestly, is really, really busted with Super Poly, especially against Orcust. That's actually how I won my one matchup, because again, like I said, I went 3-1. My only loss was to Thunder Dragon, surprisingly, Pure Thunder, but he was just able to outpace me, and I misplayed a little bit. But you know, such as how Yu-Gi-Oh goes. But against Cyber Dragon Orcust, which generally I always thought I would lose to, only because that deck can just really go crazy with resources, and it can play around Colossus pretty well. I thought I was going to lose, but the Super Polys along with this just made this deck win. It literally just put me turns ahead, so that's the thing. But now we go into El Shaddoll Winda. This was only in here for Nibiru, because if you're doing a combo and you end up on summon 4, and you have the Instant Fusion in hand, you go Instant Fusion as summon 5 for Winda, and then your opponent can't Nibiru you, and then if you have a way to convert a Thunder Monster into Colossus, that counts as a 1 summon under Winda, so it just allows you to avoid, like, play around Nibiru while also still facilitating your Thunderboard. And then last but not least, 1 Thousand Eyes Restrict, because opposing Colossuses are a problem to deal with, and you need a way to get around them. So that is it for the Fusion monsters. Now for the links, play 1 Borlo Dragon. The card's really, really strong. Just being able to make it and then steal your opponent's Colossuses. It never really came up in this tournament, but that's only because I never really got the resources on board to make it with the way people were disrupting boards, you know, this past locals. So for that, I played Blackluster Soldier of Chaos. This card is amazing. This card is ridiculous. Like, this card is obviously probably MVP of the extra deck. So 1 Nightmare Unicorn. This card obviously just to bounce Colossuses. 1 Nightmare Phoenix to pop back row. 1 Beat Cop as the generic Link 2. 1 Summer Summoner as the Thunder Link 2 that you can convert into Colossus if need be. And then 1 Link Karibo for the Thunder Dragon Matrix, which also allows you to search another Matrix and go off with plays that way. So that's it for the extra deck. And then for the side deck, I decided 2 Nibiru. This card is really, really good. People are learning how to play around this card though, so don't be surprised if you take this card in your side deck or even in your main deck to locals, regionals, etc., whatever event you go to, and people learn how to play around this and adapt to it, because that's kind of what these Megaton promos have facilitated, in my opinion, is people to play a little bit more conservatively, or at least kind of hedge their boards, you know, and kind of bolster their boards a little bit with extra negations and ways to stop cards like Nibiru and Dark Rulers. So that's a thing. And then moving on, we played 2 Bell in the side deck. This was actually mostly for Orcust, and honestly, I never saw it against the Cyber Dragon Orcust player that I played against, but I did see it against my round 4 match, which was Nekroz. and this actually did help in one instance where he tried to use, I believe it was Pencil Plume, to add something back, and I just was able to stop it, and it basically stalled his combo out that entire turn. So, and then last but not least was the third Ash Blossom, which again, I'm probably going to honestly go 3 Ash in the side deck because Ash is inconsequential at this point. It's not bad, and it can hinder certain decks, but the decks that are in the meta right now just kind of can play through Ash, and that's something that makes Ash inconsequential. So, and then spell cards, I played triple Super Poly, as I said, siding this in, even going first against decks like Orcust, because if you go first against decks like Orcust, you can set it, and then when your opponent's doing their combo, the moment they get Galatea and the rest of the cards on their board, you let them resolve like their symbol skeletons, etc., etc. You let them do, you know, in the most of their play, once you see they have 2 dark monsters on the field that you want to get rid of, you activate this, discard a card, and then just fuse away. And they can't respond to it. They can't even like counter trap this, because obviously it's spell speed 4, so that's the thing. Really, really strong. Then triple Twin Twisters, because I don't want to lose to Mystic Mine. I know that Mystic Mine kind of, you know, lost favor after Metaverse, but like Sky Striker can still main deck Mystic Mine and get away with it, so. And then that's it for the spells, and then last but not least are the traps in my side deck, which were 2 Floodgates in the forms of Summon Limit. I figured this against Orcust going first, or this against even Thunder Dragon if timed properly, or any deck that necessarily has to put 2 or more bodies on the board. This card is amazing against. So, and then if you set this behind a Colossus, that's it's pretty tough to out that. So. And then last but not least were cards that I specifically cited for Sky Striker, because honestly, Sky Striker is probably what I consider to be the scariest matchup aside from Orcust to Eradicator, because the thing about Sky Striker is obviously it facilitates its plays off of having as many spells in the graveyard as possible, so putting the spells in the graveyard probably isn't the best thing. However, if you time this properly and you just do this at the choking point in your opponent's plays, you can render everything that they do completely obsolete. It just absolutely wrecks Sky Striker in the right scenarios. So that's it for the deck. My matchups, I played against, my first 2 matchups were against Thunder Dragon actually. The first round I played against a Thunder Dragon player, and I was just able to out-resource him, and he had Pot of Desires, and he desires away in game 1 the pure Thunder Dragon, so he didn't really get to resolve it. And then game 2 I gave to him because he was able to set up a Colossus I couldn't out. I didn't draw the most optimal hand, and then game 3 I just set up a board and he couldn't out it. Now round 2 is where is my only loss. I played against a well-known player in my community who's actually probably one of the more skilled players around here. Definitely a better player than me, and he played Thunder Dragon as well, and he was just able to outpace me, as well as he sided it, or I don't know if he sided or main Denko, but I had like called by his face down. I had a called by face down and like other cards that actually would have interrupted his combo, but he had the Denko, so I couldn't really do anything. And then game 2, I misplayed and forgot that he matrixed his Thunder Dragon Titan, and it kind of messed me up, but that's beside the point. And then round 3, I played against Cyber Dragon Orcust, and that deck honestly was a very difficult matchup. But game 2, I was able to super poly during his combo, like mid combo. I super polyed him and kind of screwed everything up for him, so he wasn't really able to function. Game 1 in that match, sorry by the way, I skipped game 1. I dropped Dimension Shifter before he could do anything, leaving him with very little resources to actually play off of. Then game 2 was the super poly thing, and then game 3 I was just able to OTK him by putting a Nightmare Unicorn, spinning back Galatea. I spun back Galatea with Nightmare Unicorn. I made Colossus. I made Beat Cop first. I made the Colossus under the Beat Cop in the right zone of Beat Cop. Then after that, I was able to put another body on board, link that body and the Beat Cop into Unicorn, spin back a card that he controlled, which was Galatea, and then after that I had the Thunder Dragon Infusion in hand with enough Thunders in grave, so I made Titan and I was able to OTK because I had Matrix in hand as well. So that was my round 3, and then my round 4 was actually against Nekroz, which was kind of a scary matchup at first, because I figure like if you put Nekroz of Unicorn on the board, even if I have Colossus and Titan, it's not going to matter because Unicorn just stops them anyway. However, I was able to dinomischus his unicorn in game 1, and it messed up his. It really slowed him down a lot. Game 2, he just was able to outpace me, and even when I did put bodies on the board, he was just able to spin them back with nekroz of Brio, which is honestly a card you should never underestimate. And then in game 3, I was just able to do the whole board where I set up Colossus and Titan, and I just had control of the entire game from there. So that is it for my pure Thunder Dragon deck profile, guys. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. I really appreciate the views you guys give us. I know we haven't been on the channel in a while producing too much content, but we did go to locals recently. We also went to a 3v3 tournament, and I played Mermail there, but I'm not going to rehash my Mermail deck profile. I know it gets annoying, guys, but that is it. So like I said, leave your opinions in the comment section below. Let me know what you guys think of this deck and what the current format will be, especially considering we have the ban list coming up in mid to October. So Eric here at TeamEccenTrick, and I'm signing out. Rate and subscribe, leave your comments and ideas in the comment section below, and don't hesitate to give us respectful suggestions on content you want to see. Eric on behalf of the team saying take care, and TeamEccenTrick out.